You hit game over, but God hit continue. Welcome to Eternity Games, the podcast where your soul is the train and the journey is eternal. We're the show designed to wake you up, shake you up, and challenge everything you've been taught. We play a different game around here, one that uncovers the eternal truth of reality behind the veil. It's our mission to explore purpose through the pain, meaning beyond the algorithm, and the truth that eternity isn't someday, it's right now, with your host, Raya White.
Traveling on the soul train.
Today, we're going to delve deeper into the unseen world, because the things we can see, they're temporary. They're passing away. But the things we cannot see, those are eternal. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. 2 Corinthians 4:18. But what about the temporal things? The visible, tangible stuff we live in and touch every day. How did they come to be? What are they made of? What influences creative power and force? That's what we're here to explore. Let's go back to the very beginning. Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning, God created. This is the opening phrase in Genesis, known in Hebrew as Bereshit. It's the first book of the Torah. And just to be clear, the Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible. The Tanakh refers to the full Hebrew Bible, what many may call the Old Testament. It's composed of the Torah, which is the law, the Nevi'im, which is the prophets, and Kevutim, which is the writings. These are the scriptures Yeshua himself read, quoted, and fulfilled. And right there, in the beginning, we see something extraordinary. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Genesis 1:3. God didn't lift a finger. He didn't use his hands. He spoke. And vibration moved into form. From the mouth of the Most High came frequency. That's the original creative act. Sound, vibration, energy, form. By the word of the Lord there were the heavens made. Psalm 33:6. That means that sound came before light. Vibration preceded structure. Frequency shaped physical reality. And this idea that frequency is the foundation of creation, it's not just a spiritual concept. It is scientific, it's neurological, it's cultural, and it's very real. And today we are opening it all up. So let's talk about us for a moment, humanity. Because in all of this talk about God's voice and vibration and creation, we've got to stop and ask, who did he make us to be? In Genesis 1:26-28, it says, "Then God said, 'Let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion.'" Right from the start, God wasn't just building species, he was creating representatives, image bearers, co-creators. You and I, we're not evolved apes. We're not some sentient accident crawling out of a pond. We're divinely engineered beings with breath from another dimension. And with that design came dominion, not domination. Dominion as in stewardship, responsibility, power with purpose. And God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it." Subdue doesn't mean crush. It means cultivate, to bring order out of chaos, to create ecosystems, systems, culture, beauty. And here's the kicker. "But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth." Deuteronomy 8:18. Now let's pause here, because some people get weird about that word wealth. They hear it and immediately think, oh, prosperity gospel or luxury obsession. But the Hebrew word used here, of koach, doesn't just mean money. It means strength, capacity, ability, force, influence. You were given power to produce. Now that's creative energy. Let's fast forward to today. Why do you think the world is obsessed right now with large language models and with AI that generates content with words? Why are we so fascinated with machines that can write, speak, invent, create? Because deep in the human spirit, there is a desire to imitate the Father. We're trying to speak like He spoke, to build like He built, to make reality respond to our voice. It's in us. It's always been in us. But the problem is we forgot who gave us that fire. We've got a generation of people walking around talking about manifestation or speaking into the universe or calling things in, but they're doing it without reverence, without authority, without alignment. And here's the deal. Your words have power whether you acknowledge their source or not. Right now, you can bless or you can curse. You can create or you can destroy. You can expand or you can collapse. You don't need a pulpit to operate in spiritual authority. You just need to realize and remember who you are and who you were made to reflect. And listen, that's not about being religious. That's about being real. You are made in the image of the Most High God. So your voice carries weight. Your speech shifts things. Your words are charged. And we're now building machines that mimic that power, but they don't have a soul, and they never will. They do not have a spirit, and they will never have the breath of God. They can mirror our speech, but not our heart. So the real question is, will you create like your Father, or will you just copy the machine? Your voice isn't neutral. Your words are not just noise. They are either building something or burning it down. In James 3:6 we read, "The tongue is also a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell." That's in the Bible, and it hits different when you've lived it. See, when I first started school, I was like every other 5-year-old. Innocent, open, looking to connect, wanting nothing more than to find friends, to laugh, to belong. But some kids, they didn't see a child. They saw my differences. They pointed at my skin, at my hair, and they laughed and said things that a child should never have to hear. And in that moment, I didn't understand why. But I now know that was the moment when the walls started to go up. Those weren't just playground insults. They were the blueprints for what would become a prison I didn't know I was building. I was made to feel othered. And when you don't feel safe in your own skin, you start looking for armor. So I adapted. I learned how to survive. I built emotional walls so thick I couldn't hear my own heart anymore. I pushed people away before they could reject me, and by the time I hit my teens, I was dressing in black, raging against the system, putting on a mask of strong and independent, but it was all scaffolding built around pain. And guess what? It all started with words. Words that cut, words that shamed, words that planted seeds of rebellion, mistrust, and isolation. So when James says that the tongue is set on fire by hell, that is so not a metaphor. That is reality. You don't have to throw fists to break someone down. You just need to open your mouth the wrong way. Even Melania Trump, say what you want about her. She stood up publicly against bullying while she was raising Barron because she knew words stick. And in today's world, that bullying doesn't stop when the bell rings. It travels through screens, it haunts you in group chats, it rewrites your sense of self if you let it. But now let's shift. Because if words can curse, then they can also bless. Your tongue, it's a tool. And in the hands of the Spirit, it's a weapon of healing. Proverbs 15:4 says, "A gentle tongue is a tree of life." And Proverbs 18:21, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." You can curse your children, your friends, your future without meaning to, or you can start using your words to prophesy, to bless, to build. You can speak like your voice matters because it does. You don't need a pulpit to carry spiritual authority, just awareness and reverence, because when you speak, your frequency goes out. It touches the room, the person, the spirit realm. And if you want to start changing your life, you need to start to change your thoughts and change your words, because they are building something. You're creating constructs in reality, and you need to make sure it's not a prison. All right, so let's talk the science of sound and vibration. We are so much more than what we think we are. We are spiritual beings. We're energetic. We are vibrational. We are tuned. We're analog. Everything in creation vibrates. Everything. Your body, your thoughts, your voice, the soil beneath your feet, even the earth itself, it just hums. There's something called the Schumann Resonance. It's a low, natural electromagnetic frequency that surrounds the earth. And it was first recorded by a German physicist called Winfried Schumann in 1952. It pulses at around 7.83 hertz. And here's where it gets wild. The frequency lines up almost perfectly with the theta brainwave state in humans, and that's the deep creative meditative zone. In other words, the earth has a heartbeat, and your brain can literally sync with it. When you're barefoot in nature, lying in the grass or walking by water, that peace you feel, that's not just in your head, that is your frequency. We were built to resonate with nature, with creation. Let's break this down even more. Your brain doesn't run on thoughts alone. It pulses in measurable frequencies like radio stations. Each state of consciousness has its own frequency band. So let's get geeky. We've got the delta, which is 0.5 to 4 hertz. It's deep. It's dreamless sleep. It's the lowest restorative state. Then you have the theta wave, which is 4 to 8 hertz. That's meditation, flow, intuition. Alpha is 8 to 12 hertz. You'll feel calm, relaxed, yet alert. It's a gateway to rest. The beta waves is 12 to 30 hertz. Focus, problem solving, go mode. And gamma, which is 30 to 100 hertz. That's peak cognition. Here you'll be receiving revelation, learning, integrating. When you're operating in theta, you're creative, you're inspired and quiet. When you're in beta, you're crunching through the to-do list. But here's the point. Your state of mind is more than mental. It's also vibrational. And everything around you can either raise that frequency or drain it. And let's talk about the sound from your body, your voice. Sound engineers know this all too well. If you hit a glass with the exact frequency of its structure, you can shatter it. No hammer needed, no violence, just resonance. That is vocal power. Your voice carries vibration. It's not just in your lungs that's making the air move, it's your spirit shaping space. You know how someone can walk into a room, say one word, and change the whole atmosphere? That is more than presence. That's, again, frequency. So when you sing, when you cry out, when you declare truth or speak over someone's life, you're releasing energy that moves things. And that is not woo-woo, that's physics. You're quite literally vibrating with intention when you speak. So imagine what happens when your voice is aligned with truth, with love, with faith. Imagine what happens when you pray, or when you curse, or when you bless your child, or when you tear down in a moment of anger. Words are sound. Sound is frequency. Frequency is force. Let's take a look back in time to one of the most iconic moments in Scripture, the fall of Jericho. You can find it in Joshua 6:20, which says, "So the people shouted when the priests blew the trumpets, and it happened when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat." No battering rams, no siege towers, just obedience, sound, and faith. God instructed Joshua and led the Israelites to march around the city for 6 days, and on the 7th day to circle it 7 times. Then the priests were to blow the shofar, a ram's horn, and the people were to shout. The result? The walls collapsed. And this wasn't just a miraculous event, it was a demonstration of sound as a divine weapon. The shofar, with its piercing, resonant tones, was central to this strategy. Its sound is not just a noise, it is a frequency that carries spiritual significance. Research indicates that the shofar produces frequencies that range from approximately 300 hertz to over 900 hertz, depending on its size and shape. So, for instance, you can have a professional ram's horn shofar that can produce frequencies like F sharp 4, B4, or C sharp. So right there, you've got a frequency range of between 368 hertz, going to 497 hertz, all the way to 565 hertz. And these frequencies are not arbitrary. They resonate deeply within the human spirit, and they have been used for centuries to awaken and alert and align. And here's another powerful example. King Jehoshaphat's battle. In 2 Chronicles 20:22, it says, "Now when they began to sing and to praise, the Lord set ambushes against the people who had come against Judah, and they were defeated." Facing a vast army, Jehoshaphat didn't send out his mightiest warriors first. He sent out singers. As they praised and worshipped, God created confusion among their enemies, leading them to destroy each other. This account underscores a profound truth that praise is a weapon. When we lift our voices in genuine worship, we're not just singing songs, we're engaging in spiritual warfare. Our vocal frequencies, aligned with faith and intention, can shift atmospheres and bring down strongholds. Let's look around us, because if frequency shapes reality, then everything from the plants in your window to the structures of ancient cathedrals carries the imprint of vibration. Let's start with the natural world. Plants, believe it or not, they can hear. Not like you and I do, but through vibration. Studies have shown that certain frequencies, especially in the low to mid-range, can cause plants to grow faster, develop stronger roots, and even activate self-defense mechanisms. The University of Missouri researchers discovered that plants could detect the sound of a caterpillar chewing, and when they did, the plants responded by producing chemical defenses to protect themselves. Other experiments have exposed identical plants to contrasting spoken words. One group received kindness, love, affirmation, the other insults and aggression, and I'm sure you can guess the results. The love plants thrived, the others wilted. Sound affects structure. Vibration reshapes life. And in many ways, plants are more honest than people. They don't pretend not to be affected. Now, let's push the boundaries. We've all looked at the ancient wonders, like the pyramids of Giza, Baalbek, and we've asked, how did they move these megalithic stones? Some of these blocks weighed over 1,000 tons. Even with today's technology, we would be hard pressed to replicate this with ease. There's a growing body of evidence that suggests that ancient builders may have used sound frequencies to lift and position these stones. And in theory, it's often called acoustic levitation. And this theory does use resonant waves to counteract gravity. And here's the thing, this is not a pure myth. We already know in modern labs that standing wave patterns can suspend small particles in midair using sound. It is real, it is measurable, and it is happening. So the idea that frequency was a tool of creation, ancient and divine, is not fringe. It's just a forgotten technology. If walls could fall at Jericho, why couldn't stones rise in Egypt? Now we enter one of the most fascinating spaces of this whole conversation, Gothic cathedrals. These were amazing spaces of worship. They were engineered, humming with design precision, mathematical alignment, and vibrational resonance. We're talking about cathedrals like Notre Dame and Sainte-Chapelle, which were constructed with sacred geometry built right into their bones, with the golden ratio, with the Fibonacci spirals, with the Vescia Piscis, with octagonal layouts and celestial alignments. And this is not just for beauty, it's functional harmony. The acoustics of these buildings are just otherworldly. Their shapes conduct and sustain sound waves. Every chant, every shofar, every pipe, every organ note fills the room and continues to resonate long after it's been released. The stained glass windows were not mere decoration either. They filtered sunlight into precise color frequencies, bathing the interior in a sort of ancient light therapy, activating electromagnetic responses in the human body. And then there were the labyrinths, sacred walkways laid into the floor, guiding the body into movement prayer, syncing with the steps in the breath and intention and with divine geometry. And the pipe organs inside, guess what? These are more than instruments. These are also frequency emitters. Some tones even enter the infrasound ranges below the threshold of human hearing. So you don't hear them, you feel them. They rearrange your inner structure without permission. And what were these buildings made of? Granite, limestone, and quartz, materials known for their piezoelectric properties. When pressure or vibration is applied, they generate electrical energy. They're charged. And there's a reason why many of these cathedrals are placed on ley lines, because the ley lines are high-energy earth sites. They were aligned to the sky, to the land, the spirit, vibrational sanctuaries. And they were designed for so much more than what we believe they were. Yes, they were designed for prayer, but also for resonance and for healing and recalibration of the human body and mind and soul and spirit. So when you stood inside of one of these in an unaltered form, your body tuned itself. Your frequency just adjusted and you left different. These places were built to realign the human being with the divine template. So here we are, from the vibrational code of creation to the resonance of your voice to cathedrals designed like sacred instruments. We've explored a world that isn't always visible, but it's always humming beneath the surface. And this is just part one, because there's so much more. In part two, we're going to go even deeper into the frequency of what we wear, the sound of music then and now, the EMF fog that we're all living in, that's the electromagnetic frequency, and how to begin detoxifying your vibration spiritually, physically, and energetically. We're also going to decode how modern tech is disrupting ancient frequencies and what you can do to tune it back into what heaven intended. But for now, sit with this, play it back, pray, breathe, and notice how you're feeling. Your body is listening, your spirit is tuning. This is Eternity Games.
Thanks for riding with us on Eternity Games. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more souls find the signal in the noise. Want to go deeper? Visit eternitygamespodcast.com for show notes, tools, and more ways to connect. Until next time, stay awake and keep your eyes on the prize.